Hey guys, and welcome to a new series here on Pro Audio Squad. And this series is called Plugins Explained, and this is the very first video of the series. And we're gonna be talking about the Equalizer. So the Equalizer is basically one of the most, if not the most used plugin that is actually used in audio production. So that's basically why pretty much every digital audio workstation or any analog mixing desk has at least a very basic equalizer built in. So what is it designed for? Well, the main purpose is to cut out specific frequencies or frequency ranges out of your audio signal. You can of course boost areas, but if you really want to be doing this, let's talk about this in a second. So let's look at a very basic EQ. In this case, this is the EQ3 of Ableton. It's called 3 because you got 3 bands to work with, the low band, your mid band, and the high band. With these knobs, you can adjust the gain, whether you want to boost or cut your frequencies. So let me throw in a short clip real quick so that we can see what the equalizer is actually doing. So to demonstrate the effect, we'll take the low end and lower the gain a lot. So let's see. Yeah, that killed pretty much all of the bass that was in there. So now down below we can see that you can select the range of frequencies that you want to have affected. So the first band will affect any frequency from the beginning of your spectrum, which would be like around 30 Hz in this case, to whatever you set up here. So let's listen. For the high frequencies, this is pretty much the same, except for this goes the opposite direction. So you start at 18 kHz and go down to whatever you enter here. And now everything which is between the selected frequencies will be your mid band, so you can control this with the mid gain right here. Yeah, of course you can boost frequencies if you want to, but here's the first problem. So since my track already got a pretty high output level, the addition of more gain, especially on the low frequencies, can cause clipping and distortion, which doesn't sound too good, honestly. So now you know what you can do with an equalizer, and to get a little more into detail, let's just get rid of this one and load up the EQ8. So with this one you can work more precisely. So as you can see, you got the numbers 1 to 4 right here, which basically stands for your bands that you'll be dealing with. So you can turn on or off single bands by clicking these yellow boxes right here. So as you can see, you got a total of 8 bands that you can edit. But for now, let's just take out all of these except for the first one. So you already know the frequency control and the gain control. And now if we lower the gain control, actually you can see which frequency range is being affected. So if you remember from the EQ3, I said we were covering a specific range from the very beginning of the spectrum at around 30 Hz to whatever we select right there. So as you can see, this is kind of different. If we move the frequency a little higher, you can see that our curve is slowly increasing and then decreasing around the center frequency, but not necessarily starting at the very beginning. This is because we're using a different shape by default than the EQ3 does. We're dealing with a so-called bell filter, and the EQ3 uses a shelving filter, which is this one. So luckily we can choose whatever we want to be using here. So let's take a look at the other ones. Here we got a low cut filter, which completely kills any frequencies below a specific point. As the shelving filter just reduces the level of the frequency band, this one totally kills it. Here we got the notch filter, which can be used to do like very precise cuts if you need to. And if we move over here, we got the shelving filter for the high frequencies and our high cut filter back again. So this one basically works like the first filter, just into the opposite direction. So this is already a decent amount of tools and shapes that we can be using, but if we want to go a little more precisely, let's just look at this parameter. This one is labeled Q and often called bandwidth, because with this one you can determine how broad your cuts or your boosts are gonna be. So the higher the Q factor actually is, the more steep your curve acts. So this is very useful when your audio material comes with certain problematic frequencies that you want to be cutting out precisely. So this works pretty much the same for your bell and for your shelving filters, but when you look at the low or the high cut filters, you will see there is a little difference. On the one hand, you can control your slope of your filter, but as you can see, as you increase the Q factor, you will see a little boost around your center frequency, and this is the so-called resonance. So this is basically to emphasize the area that you're about to cut. So you can do a lot of cool things with this. For example, if you add in a little of resonance and then start moving your frequency around, you will get like this cool sweeping sound effect like this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you listen to this kind of effect somewhere already, so this is no brand new stuff for you, but now you know how this works. And for example, DJs use this kind of stuff quite often to make like cool effects or transitions, and of course you can use this in your own music just to make it a little more exciting. Just add in a little filter and start automating your frequency and your resonance, and that's basically it. So now let's just go back to the beginning of the video for a second, talking about the problems you might be running into when you're boosting frequencies instead of cutting them. So as I mentioned, and as we have seen a few seconds ago, there's this little problem with your audio material clipping when you're adding gain. I mean, a lot of equalizers got a output control section, so there you can lower the gain if you need. But I don't think this makes too much sense to boost a specific area and then lower the overall gain, where you could just cut off the frequencies that you don't want to have. So another point is, when you're boosting a specific area, you're always adding a little of noise to your signal. So this isn't too bad on single signals, but if you're having a mix and boosting frequencies on all of your tracks, you definitely can run into problems with that. So just remember the fact that equalizers were basically built as filters, and they were supposed to cut out frequencies instead of boosting them. So this is definitely not the easiest and most comfortable way, but this will certainly help you improve your mixes. If you're now trying to find the best EQ for you to work with, I cannot recommend a specific one. So when it comes to cutting peaks and cutting frequencies, all of them will do a good job. I've been reading several times right now that the basic filtering algorithms are most of the time pretty much the same, but don't pin me down to that. This is just my experience that most of the modern equalizers are very accurate at cutting frequencies, and most of the time this is just a matter of taste and how you can handle a plugin or something, so this is basically up to you. Of course there are some differences between equalizers, but most of them just deal with the features or the number of bands you can work with. If you're looking for a very precise tool, you might want to have a look at the FabFilter Pro Q, which actually comes with unlimited number of bands. Well, I don't know if they're unlimited, but I never used more than 15. Yeah, it just sounds great, allows you to do like very precise cuts. In my opinion, the perfect tool for this kind of audio surgery. So if you really want to be boosting frequencies or add a little character to your signal, you definitely have to test out a lot of equalizers. So when I'm boosting frequencies, most of the time I go for plugins that try to emulate the old tube sounding equalizers, so they're making the sound a little warmer. But actually this is a matter of taste and totally up to you, and as I said, you have to go through a lot of plugins and test them out to find the one that's probably the best for you. So I think the first episode of this series is now coming to an end, and if you got any questions, just feel free to post them in the comment section, or you might want to head over to our website and look for answers over there. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.